Hi, I'm Melissa at last, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to my garden, Rose Ether Cherubim. So, we have been talking a lot about consistency, discipline, building up our leadership, responsibility, and tying all those things together to understand that when we're walking with God and we're following Christ and we're beginning to understand the multitude of things in the Word and what God is teaching us, God is constructing us to be a leader. And a leader, they lead others, of course, they influence others, but most importantly, they serve others. So, serving others specifically with your voice, with how you speak, with how you communicate into the world. So, true influence is about how you help others when you are speaking. And in our previous video, we talked about, of course, being respectful, uplifting the spirit, and speaking to the purpose in another's spirit so that everybody can be moving in their purpose and thus fulfilling the will of God. So, we speak to help. And we speak with purpose within ourselves. When we are speaking, it's important to showcase what our purpose is specifically in our words. Now, actions always come later, but the communication part is where you speak your purpose and people begin to audibly hear, okay, this person is in alignment. This person is, a vessel, is a messenger for God. This person is moving in God's will and has a deep love for God within them. So the main focus is going to be looking at others and seeing and looking into their spirit and seeing what it is they need, where it is that they're hurting, where it is that they're unsure, or where it is that they're great and they have their strengths. Because a lot of people just need to know that you see them, you see their efforts, you see their strengths. Now, some people take well to compliments, some people don't. But if you can kind of gather that that person does take compliments well, then you can give them a compliment on all the things they're doing right. Because what you do and how you speak and how you're speaking into others and uplifting them, that creates an impact, whether you realize it or not. And whether they give you the notion that it's creating an impact, it truly is. So, helping others, making an impact, and speaking to their purpose, that's kind of what it means to begin to serve others. We are moving past a lot of our stuff, our hurts, our mentalities, and we're working through them. And a lot of that becomes further fortified when we serve others and help them through their stuff as well. Now, the corresponding verse today is Mark, and we're in chapter 10, verse 45. And this is Christ speaking, so we got the red words. For even the Son of Man came not to be ministered unto, but to minister, and to give his life a ransom for many. Now I'm going to go back up to 43, and this is still Christ speaking. But so shall it not be among you, but whosoever will be great among you shall be your minister. 44. And whosoever of you will be the chiefest shall be servant of all. So the more that you rise, the stronger that you get, and the more that you're fulfilling the will, the more you're inevitably going to serve others and help others. As you move along your path, it's something that's going to happen. And a lot of what people do is sometimes they're looking for the attention of their greatness, and we're moving away from that, because with God, we have worked on our shit. We have owned it, and we understand that our emotions are not more important than anything else that we have going on, specifically when we are moving in accordance to how God needs us to move and how he needs us to present in our environment. We have done the emotional work and are continuing to do the emotional work of removing distractions, instilling and building our habits that God needs so that we can be our best and highest self. And we are proclaiming discipline over the things and mindsets, different things that had brought us down previously. And we are moving past them, and we are continuing to work through them and shift and move things out of the way. So we have done the work that is required so that we can move out into the world without this form of self-importance, without needing validation, without needing attention. All of those are pitfalls that a lot of people who are not doing the work, you can see that they will fall into that they will look at what it's doing for them and how it's benefiting them versus going out there and doing the will of God, and knowing that part of that will of God is to serve others, is to bring other people to remembrance, to strengthen their faith, to protect their flame that is on fire for God. That is part of what it is that we do when we are moving like our brother Christ. And as you serve, you build a reputation of being trustworthy, that you are a true shepherd, and that you will meet other true shepherds who are out here doing the same thing, who will recognize that within you, and other people who know that I can be led by this person and they're going to lead me to God. They're going to be a proper representation of Christ, and they're going to get me to establish a relationship or strengthen a relationship, or give me the information on as to how to do that. And reputation, when you build it and you're building it through God, it's untaintable. Of course, there's going to be people who want to, or who don't want to trust you, or want to make it look like you're fraudulent. But God has us transcend all of that as we continue our walk, and we show our faith, our trust in God, and who we are in our actions, in our lifestyle, and definitely in the way that we speak. So being respectful, being uplifting, our lifestyle matching our values that we have learned through God, all of that is building your reputation. And then you're helping others, and you're doing great things, and you're uplifting people. That's going to build your influence. When I come across somebody that I know, and I kind of see their countenance change, their energy shift in a way that's not normal for them to vibrate in, I do my best to address it in a graceful and safe manner. And the best way you want to do it is kind of begin to address it not in front of people. That makes it worse, or that pronounces their ability to be like, I'm fine, and brush it off. It brings more that's going to happen. And if that's what you want when you're speaking to somebody, because you don't want to get deep into it, it's better to not address it unless you're truly trying to help them. So there's a lot of times where I come across people and I'm like, oh, hey, is everything good? I just noticed that, you're feeling this way, or you've been kind of doing this. How are you doing? And that just opens a conversation to begin. And I have a really great friend, and she recently, her son received a diagnosis of autism. So God was like, just check in with her. Just continue to check in with her. And naturally, like anybody, when they're first going through things and trying to figure it out, they're like, oh, everything's fine. I'm just doing this appointment and that appointment. I'm like, okay. And there was one time where I was like, okay, I'm going to just shoot her a text, make sure she's okay. Because in the beginning of getting any sort of diagnosis, you kind of like, there's a lot going on in the mind. And there's a lot of concerns that come with getting that diagnosis for your child. And I just hit her up and like, hey, are you doing okay? I said, I just felt the urge to check in on you, and, kind of God was, you know, highlighting you in my memories and in my thoughts. And, she really needed somebody at that moment. There was a lot of concerns and there was a lot of fears going on. And the one thing I told her specifically, I said, if God provides the child, he will provide the provision. And you have to trust that. And in this life, when you are going through these things, you have to just truly understand that this is God's will. God trusted you with this great, beautiful spirit, and he picked you as a mom to handle it, and you're going to. All right? You're not going to get anything wrong because you're his mom and you know what he needs. And you're going to be the greatest advocate for him in his life. And all of it is going to be all right. A year from now, a lot of what you're concerned about won't be a concern. And, sometimes people just need to hear that to calm them and to let them know that they're not alone, that they're seen, and that what they're going through, it may feel like a burden, but it's a great responsibility because God trusts you with this work. So, and we spoke about a year or so past. I mean, I've been in communication with her since then, but, some time has passed, and a lot of the things that she was concerned about are not a concern anymore. And I said, hey, look at God. I said, the things you're worrying about last year, not even an issue. She's like, you're right. And a lot has changed, and they're doing great. So sometimes people don't need a lot from you. They just need a conversation. They just know that they need to be seen for a moment. They need to be reminded of God's greatness, and they need to be reminded that they're capable of inhabiting, instilling, and instilling and handling. And they're capable of it. They're capable of handling it all. And the responsibility bestowed on them might be great, but that means that they're great as well. And they just need that reminder, and they need to be reminded to turn their eyes back to God and figure it out, and that they can. And just because today feels heavy, today feels hard, it doesn't mean that all the days are going to feel like that. And sometimes people just need that gentle reminder that, hey, it's going to be all right. And everything that I've received from God from here and going forward has been nothing but a blessing. And it's good that I have somebody that can reflect that back to me. And you have to be that proper reflection back to them. So that's why we talked about in the previous videos, wiping down our mirror and making sure that we're not projecting any unfinished work that we have yet to do in ourselves onto other people, because we're here to reflect God's light back to people. Reflect a clear form of thinking, of strength, specifically of strength. So that's what a lot of it taught me, is if God is giving you that nudge, do it, because you can truly make someone's experience, make someone's day more peaceful, more at ease. And we shouldered that responsibility to do that when we have that vessel that has that clear-cut, strong connection to God. In part of that comes the responsibility to give the messages to the next person, to uplift the next person and speak to the spirit of that person, uplifting their spirit and reminding them of their purpose here. God still has them here, so there's a purpose for them being here. And sometimes highlighting that purpose is what somebody needs to keep going, to remind them that they have endurance and longevity to get there. So if you start serving others daily and you be that uplifting, it could be even something as small as being that smile in the morning, saying good morning to people. Small things like holding open the door, or helping somebody pick something up. Just always being that source of, there's good people in the world. And whether they're rude to you or whether they say thank you or not, that cannot change your standards and your stance of how you're going to be in the world. And I talk about this a lot, especially to my kids as they're growing up. Okay, somebody did you wrong or somebody acted like this, but why would you allow it to change your character? How you're choosing to show up, your character and your values cannot shift or change based on the world's appreciation. That's why it's often said we're in the world but not of it. And we're made to serve others because God has put greatness within us. So if even Jesus wasn't, he said himself, wasn't truly here to be ministered onto, he was here to minister, and we're following his footsteps. And if we take on the responsibility as someone as great as Christ, I mean, that's what we're here to do, and we should be honored with that responsibility. So stay focused on things like that, and don't let anything change your morals, your values, your character, how you choose to show up in the world. It's okay to have a rough day and not always be so aware and so helpful, but always try to get back to that center, get back to that good place where you are doing those things. And if something is stopping that, or if there's something going on that makes you not that way anymore, find it, bring it to God, let God fix it, and then do your part to make sure that it doesn't continue to influence you in a wrong way, because we're here to influence what God has given us out into the world. And the world can influence us too, but that we need to be stronger than that, and our influence needs to be more pushed out, because we're here to project what God has placed within us and to project God's love and light back out into our environment, thus changing the environment. So now that you are moving in your leadership and you're understanding your responsibility in regards to that leadership, you are serving others with your voice, you are serving others with your action, you are serving others with your great energy. And if you consistently help others, you can begin to see your reputation and influence begin to grow. You can see how God is going to begin to trust you with more, because he sees that you take your responsibilities seriously. You are now moving in a mindset to continue to conduct kingdom business. We're not moving in a hurt mindset anymore. We're not moving in a way that doesn't denote being a great leader. And I see that within you. You're becoming so great. You are taking your responsibilities seriously. And you are showing God that you are showing up in the way that he needs you to show up, because you're doing the work and you're putting God first. And I'm proud of you, friend. You're doing amazing. You are a great leader, and you're only going to become greater from here. All right. And I'm glad we had this conversation. I'm glad we had the tough conversations a few videos ago, because all of this brought us to this point, and it's been great. And I'm glad you stuck through the tough love so that you can be here and understand what true growth looks like, and serving others and taking your responsibilities seriously, and ultimately honoring the Most High God. I love you, friend. You're doing amazing. So remember, I love you, but God loves you more. See you next time.